Hello, everybody, and welcome to the fastest half hour on Rogers Community 10 Pit Stop. Glad you could join us. What a show we have for you. It's going to conclude with an interview with Jeff Gordon as he was at the DuPont Canada's offices in Ajax. But first up, it's a story about vintage racing. That's right, vintage racing. Verac and Mosport recently held their Vintage Festival, and we were there to capture all the action, including a couple of really unique interviews. First up, it's with Jack Bogstrom, and then we'll have an interview with Brad Baker, and then we'll take it from there. See what I mean? A couple of cars heading out onto the track. You know, there had to have been in excess of 100 entries. It was really a fantastic weekend to see all these old cars. Yeah, look at the size of the tires on those. Tell Lee Bentham he's going to race that. Here we go, getting to the green flag, and that's Jack Bogstrom on the outside, by the way, in the Sadler. Last lap sign as Jack Bogstrom heads around the track. Basically no competition for Jack. Now, as far as being an accomplished driver, Jack is also in the business of restoring and selling vintage cars. Look at these. Remember that phrase in baseball cards? Got 'em, need 'em, want 'em all.
Had a good time today. The weather held out and didn't get the rain that your station promised, so that's good.
Describe to us the car. What we really want to know about is the car you drive.
Yes, it's a very historic car. It's the very first American V8 engine placed in the rear of a sports racing car, which a full 5 years later became the Can-Am concept, which we all know about. So it's a tremendously historic car. And it was built by Bill Sadler. Two of them were built, sponsored by Comstock Construction in 1960 in St. Catharines, Ontario. And it was featured in all the American magazines at the time, and it's unusual, and it doesn't have a gearbox. It had a 2-speed gearbox, but I tried it around in 4th gear only. There was no transmission strong enough, rear-mounted transaxle to take the horsepower in one day, so it doesn't require it, obviously. The original car had Sadler built a 2-speed gearbox. This doesn't have a gearbox. There's no transmission, so the driver can't screw up here. There's no shifting. I'm in 4th gear all the time. I have to slip the clutch to get out on the grid. After that, I don't use the clutch, so I come back in.
Sounds like Bill was way ahead of Formula One.
Yes, that's right.
Well, how about the suspension in the car? What kind of suspension is utilized?
Well, he built his own suspension system, but like all special builders at the time, he used English car parts. The front uprights are big Austin Healey units. It's got Girling disc brakes. It's got some Triumph parts. It's got a Morris Minor steering rack. But he designed all the geometry into his own.
Sadler Mark V, quite a nice car. Now let's have a look at another nice car. Driving in the Formula 5000 division is Brad Baker from right here in Oshawa. And there he sits in the number 37 Lola T142, heading out onto the track for the start of the race. The number 47 car, that's his brother, Duncan, in the old Formula Atlantic car. And Crew 10 picking up speed as they grab the green flag. Look at him, he's gone already. Ah, nothing like Chevy horsepower. Brad brings the car through corner number 10 on the front straight and eventually onto the race win.
Congratulations, the checkered flag. It's been a trying weekend for you, but this car sure paid off in the end, the feature win. Let's talk about yourself, Brad. A lot of people may not know about Brad Baker and the fact that he's right here in Oshawa.
Yeah. I actually was born here, moved away for a while, and then came back, and we've been racing these cars in almost 20 years now. I've been driving these.
Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Strictly vintage racing, is that what your past is?
Did a little bit of more serious stuff, but I knew I was never going to be anything but just a guy who loved to race, so vintage is perfect for that kind of, the person who's a real enthusiast but knows they're not going to be the next Jacques Villeneuve or anything like that, and that's what I do.
Well, I wouldn't say that vintage racing is anything to berate. I mean, the racing is pretty competitive.
Yeah, the racing is competitive, and there's some, you can, racing close is, just because the cars are old doesn't mean people aren't going to race them hard. And as the sport continues to mature, vintage racing itself is only about 25 years old, in this country anyway. It gets more and more competitive, and you get more and more serious people into it, and more ex-serious drivers, famous people like Brian Redman and Jackie Ickx and Denny Hulme before he passed away a few years ago. People like that.
Do you get to travel around a lot?
Yeah, we go. This is the only race we do in Canada, and then after that, it's mostly in the eastern and southeastern United States.
Since you're an expert at all those tracks, then how does Mosport rate?
It's a great track. Niki Lauda once said that it was one of the top 5 tracks in the world, and it really is. It's terribly challenging, and it's a shame that more races aren't held here, because it's really a terrific circuit.
Describe what it's like to drive this car. Give us maybe a couple laps worth what you go through out there.
Yeah. Well, this is an early Formula 5000 car, so it's a tube frame car, which means the engine has a lot of torque and a lot of power, and the car the chassis tends to flex a little bit. So it pulls about 1.5 Gs in the corners, which is about 1.5 times your body weight, pushing you side to side. And it has an awful lot of power, so when you come through the hairpin down at the back, turn 5, and put your foot into it, you really know what's behind you. It's a good car. It takes a tremendous amount of concentration, and technically it's a short wheelbase, so high polar moment car. So it means that the car tends to want to spin around on itself quite easily. So you have to pay strict attention.
Corner 2, flat out.
No, I'm not. I don't have the cojones for that. But if they put a sand trap there, I'd go for it. You know, well, once you hit the grass, you tend to really take off, and you don't have a lot of control. So at least a sand trap would stop you. And at that point, yeah, because it's doable, certainly.
How many gear changes in a lap?
Oh, that's a good question. Not that many, thank heavens, because it's got a great, huge, old-fashioned gearbox. It takes a lot of muscle to change it, but only maybe 6 or 7. And this is a V8 engine, so it's got a tremendous amount of torque. So you can get kind of lazy and don't have to change as often as you should. It's kind of nice.
Well, you just have attack, but do you have any idea about the top speed that you're reaching on the Andretti Straight?
I would guess about 165, 170 miles an hour. Certainly the back end, as you come over the little hill as you near the end of the straight, the rear suspension completely unloads, and if you really look down low, you could probably see the tires just beginning to lift off the track a little bit. So that's not really what you're supposed to do, but that's the nature of the beast.
Beautiful car. The Moose, as it's affectionately known, and here's Brad's father, Dick Baker, to tell us more.
Dick, it's a real pleasure to see this car out here. Maybe you could just describe, first of all, the series, the Formula 5000 series in its heyday.
Well, in its heyday, it started in '68 and ran through to about 1976, all over North America, all the major tracks in Canada and the United States, and occasionally they went as far south as Mexico. Pretty well all the top named drivers at that time participated. It was really the sort of muscle car, single-seat cars of the era. Nobody had ever done this before, the big Chev V8 in the back of a single-seater. And there were a few Fords that ran as well, but primarily Chevs, and they were considered pretty aggressive cars.
This really was the series that catapulted a lot of drivers to success in their careers?
Yes, a lot of them went on to bigger and better things, like names, a lot of names that you'd know quite well. A.J. Foyt ran it occasionally, Parnelli Jones, Mark Donohue, Mario Andretti, names like that were the premier names in the series.
Give us a description of the car, the design and construction of this type of a vehicle.
Well, this is one of the earliest ones around. It's a tube frame car. Later on, they were what they call monocoque, where they had an aluminum structure instead of a tubular frame, and much superior, much stiffer, better handling. But it's a tubular frame with a Chev V8 engine, and a company in England, Hewland, developed a gearbox that was strong enough to take this much power, because this car, for instance, is producing about 525 horsepower. Wow. And up till the late 60s, nobody ever had a gearbox that strong.
The design into the suspension, it looks rather unique.
It's all custom made. Most of the cars were built by Lola. There are a few other makes, Chevron, and so, but the bulk of them were Lolas. And they basically took Formula One cars and reworked them to make into these series.
Oh, okay. As far as setting them up, though, is it a relatively simple car to work with?
Well, not simple. You got to be very patient. You got to do one thing at a time. Try that out, and then on to something else. On these sort of cars, there's an infinite number of things you can change. In suspension settings alone. So you have to kind of go slowly at it, try something. If it works, then you try a little something else. There's no perfect way. There's no shop manual you can go to and say, set it this way and it's going to work.
Some things don't change in racing. You just got to tinker and try.
That's right. And each driver's style is a little different too. Brad has a pretty good feel for cars. He's driven a lot of different cars, and he can take a car and work with it and set it up. But it'll be set to his style of driving.
So this currently runs in a class called Formula 70, and what's that all about?
Formula 70 is a series we started in '95 for 5,000 cars like this, and also Formula Atlantic cars. It's a 9-race series. We run 8 races in the States and the one up here in Canada. And we have been attracting as many as 35 cars in our first race in Atlanta this year.
Wow.
Very competitive. A lot of professional drivers who used to run, who are now I'll call retired, the likes of Brian Redmond, Bobby Brown, Vic Alford, have come back and started running these cars in the series.
Well, now we know a little bit about the series. Why don't you give us a little bit of history of this particular car?
Well, this car has got a real good Canadian history. It was originally owned and driven by Horst Kroll through most of its racing career. And it was Canadian champion in 1968, 1969, and it was third place overall in the North American Series in 1969. It's been in Canada its whole life. We're just the third owners of the car. And of course, I've known Horst for many years from my racing background, and we're able to get a lot of photographs of the original car, and it's all painted with the Bosch livery as it was originally, and carries the same number it did as original car. So it's
something you obviously do when you're into vintage racing. You like to restore cars back to their original setup.
Yeah, it's part of the fun is trying to recreate what the car was like when it was original. We upgrade for safety items, but primarily we try to get them back right to where they were at the time.
One thing I noticed about vintage racing is that the history of each individual car, every owner seems to know it exactly.
Well, these become like children. You don't. You tend to buy a car like this and hang on to it for a long time. Like we've had this car close to 10 years, and it becomes like a member of your family. So you know everything about it that you could possibly learn, and then people come along and give you information. For instance, somebody gave us a program last year from Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin, with this car pictured on the cover.
Oh, what a nice sound. Well, recently DuPont Canada had a celebration, and why? Because it's their 40th anniversary in Canada. Their head offices are located in Ajax, and for this special presentation they brought along Jeff Gordon and a real young special guest, and his name is Justin, and he's with the Starlight Foundation. Now, the Starlight Foundation is a group that grants wishes to children that are chronically, critically, or seriously ill. Here's Jeff Gordon to kick off this celebration.
Well, first of all, welcome to Ajax and to DuPont Canada's 40th anniversary, and glad to have you here.
Oh, it's really a pleasure to be up here. I haven't been up here in a couple years, and you find out just how many NASCAR Winston Cup fans there are out there, and especially here in Canada, and how big DuPont is all over the world, and they're very big here in Canada also.
I guess it was a couple of years ago when you were picking up the keys to the Brickyard 400 pace car.
Yeah, you're right. That was a real treat to come up here, and the Brickyard was such a big race, and it was so exciting to go out there and run for that race and to win it, and to come up here and spend some time with the DuPont folks, and then to be up at the plant and pick up that Monte Carlo was a real treat.
It's a pleasure to have you in town, and really it's a pleasure for Ajax to have Jeff Gordon here and to have DuPont here for 40 years. Thanks for coming.
Oh, it's my pleasure, and I hope we can make it back here each and every year. But, to 40 years in this business as well as they've done, that's something that needs to be celebrated, and I'm glad I could be here for it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
More from Jeff in a moment, but first let's learn a little bit more about DuPont and their involvement with NASCAR. First up is Jim Barton, and he's the general manager of finishes, along with John McEwen, the business manager of refinish.
Gentlemen, an exciting time for the Durham region, for Ajax, and for DuPont Canada, 40th anniversary, and what a celebration today.
Well, that's for sure. We've had a great year so far of many celebrations, actually. as Ajax and the Finishes business in Canada enjoys its 40th anniversary. And on Sunday we had a great event here for the employees of this business, and we had over 1,000 people here in this same location. And so today we're really pleased to be able to have our customers here and enjoy a similar event with Jeff Gordon.
Well, to meet him is a real honor for all these people, and as well, Justin's going to be here today for a special presentation. Now, what does it mean to DuPont Canada to be associated with Jeff Gordon and to have him here at your 40th anniversary?
Well, we've had Jeff here before a couple of years ago, and it was just a tremendously successful event. And so when we thought this year, what could we do that would be equally special for our employees and our customers, was a unanimous choice to have Jeff here and enjoy the NASCAR success that he's had with DuPont as his sponsor.
And coming off a win, John, just this past weekend at Dover, how exciting to add to that. What a thrill for DuPont Canada.
We couldn't have picked a better week to have Jeff Gordon up here to visit with our Canadian customers. And, you know, Jeff's involved in stock cars, and one of the businesses we're in is it's a refinish business. And the refinish business, the sport of the refinish business really is stock car. But we have many other market segments that we service. We service the OEM market, the heavy-duty truck market, supplier finishes. And quite frankly, we have people here today from all of those market segments. Jeff has just captured the imagination. He's young, he's enthusiastic. If you follow NASCAR, you know, normally you have to be much older before you ever reach the kind of achievements that Jeff has. And it's just a pleasure for us to be affiliated with him. We've been involved with Jeff now for a couple of years, and it's the Rookie of the Year, and last year he wins the Winston Cup. It's just an exciting opportunity for us, and it's a connect to our business. Our body shop customers really connect to the stock car events, and as I say, this is an exciting day for us.
When you heard that DuPont was going to be getting involved with Jeff Gordon, did you know how exciting a time it was going to be, how important a driver this guy turned out to be for DuPont?
Well, the truth be known, when we got involved with Jeff Gordon was just a rookie, and although he was a good rookie, he certainly didn't have the kind of success he's had at this point. The choice that we made as a business was we decided that we were going to get into NASCAR and sponsor NASCAR, and we had the good judgment to pick Hendricks as the racing team to support. And at that time, Hendricks had a number of other sponsors, so Jeff Gordon was the new guy on his team, so we were the new sponsor. So we kind of lucked into Jeff Gordon originally, and that's the best luck we've had in a long time, because he's turned out to be a winner. When we got involved with NASCAR, we fully expected this to be a long-term investment, because in NASCAR it usually takes 10 years until you get to the point where you're winning as regularly as Jeff is. And to have this kind of success in 2 years just is one of the reasons you got this kind of excitement here today. It just happened so quickly that it's been an unbelievable success for us.
Continued success on the track with DuPont Canada, Jeff Gordon, and Hendrick Motorsports, and definitely continued success here in the Durham region for DuPont Canada.
Oh, great. Thank you very much for being here today and sharing Justin's occasion with us, and Jeff Gordon, and our 40th anniversary of the Finishes business in Canada.
Thanks for your time, gentlemen.
Thank you.
DuPont had all of its customers on hand. There was hundreds of people there, and including this group of people that stood in line for a chance to meet this young, talented driver and perhaps get an autograph from him. Well, he's a hero to many people, but on this day, Justin was his hero.
I'm very thrilled to meet him. He said it's like a dream come true for him to come here and meet me tonight, but it's like a dream come true for me to have a little boy like this that wants to meet me, and it's a real pleasure. Thank you for being here, Justin.
Justin's only wish was to meet Jeff Gordon, but imagine he's going to get to race in the DuPont colors thanks to Family Carways. Jeff Gordon presented him with his own Rainbow Warrior.
That's really yours, you know. You get to take that home. Isn't that cool?
What a thrill. Well, you know, we had a moment to talk with Jeff one-on-one, and here's what he had to say about a number of topics.
The thing that surprises me, you started so young with the quarter midgets. First of all, was it you that said, no, Mom, Dad, I want to go racing, or did they bring something home and got you into racing?
I actually live near a BMX bicycle track up the street from my house, so I got into bicycles, and I wanted to bicycle, but I think that the bicycle racing got kind of dangerous, and no, they came out of nowhere. I didn't know anything about racing, really didn't follow racing or anything, but you know, I guess they knew I kind of liked speed speed by racing the bike, and they brought him home themselves. And I guess my mom really didn't want me racing the bicycle because of the danger factor there, but yet then my dad brings home a motorized race car to drive, but it actually ended up being even safer than the bicycle.
It's got a proven track record of safety, that's for sure. But you went so far in sprint car racing and open wheel racing. Did NASCAR entice you? Did you want to try open wheel, or was basically I want to drive anything and whatever comes up first?
That's really, I was just going for any opportunity and the next step to move myself up, in any rank. I really didn't know a lot about NASCAR racing, and had I known more about it, I think I would have gone that way regardless. But I guess because I was brought up more around IndyCar racing and open wheel type of cars, I was big on the Indianapolis 500. I always wanted to race in the Indianapolis 500, but really, if you think about it, that's really one of their only oval races. They only race on ovals a couple times a year, and I'm more of an oval track racer than I am a road racer. So it ended up working out well with NASCAR, and that opportunity did come to me where the IndyCar opportunity didn't.
As far as the chance for open wheel drivers to get into NASCAR, I don't think Steve Pinzer had a fair shake at it. Is there going to be a chance, do you think?
Well, I think the biggest thing that you got to remember, it's hard to stay in any one series for any length of time. It's just like now, if I stay in NASCAR much longer, I'm going to pretty much, be stuck to NASCAR, and I'm happy with that. I plan on being there for a long time, but I don't plan on going anywhere else. Steve Kinzer, he and a lot of other guys have been racing sprint cars for so many years, and you've got to get that experience to really have the skill to do what he does is pretty unbelievable, and he's the best in his circuit. But for him to step into stock cars, it's going to take a long time. But yet you get a guy that's got talent that steps in a sprint car for a couple years, gets that experience, boom, goes on to something else. He's going to be able to adapt to new situations a lot quicker. And Steve didn't get a fair rap. I mean, he should have got into Busch Grand National and stepped up through the ranks and then gone on to Winston Cup. It's hard to go straight into Winston Cup racing.
Your schedule is so hectic for a family life. Just wondering, in IndyCar, they've got quite a family atmosphere, and the wives are involved with the ladies' auxiliary. But as far as Winston Cup, does that happen there? Brooke was Miss Winston, so she's involved with the racing. But is it really difficult for the families to stay together?
Well, it's certainly tough as far as the traveling. I mean, to have kids. I don't have kids right now, but my wife, she travels with me everywhere we go, and I think that's the only way we could do it. We're trying to hold, off as long as we can on having children. We love children, but with our hectic schedule and everything that we do, it would be really hard to have them. But there are a lot of drivers out there that have families, have kids and everything, and they do a great job with it. But it's a hectic schedule. It's a lot of racing. We're getting more and more involved with the families by having motorhomes and buses that we bring to the racetrack and sort of make a home away from home, and that certainly helps out a lot.
Just to wrap it up, then we'll talk about Dover. A great success. Congratulations to Paul, the win. But a couple notes that I saw there. The third caution, when you're in for your stop, someone came in from your crew and reached in and handed you something. What was that?
Well, what I do is I freeze those gel ice bags, and what that does, it just gives me a cool sensation. Helps cool my body temperature down just for a little bit, and I put them inside my uniform and tighten my belts back down and zip my uniform back up, and it cools me down for a little bit, and then I can take them out, and they'll refresh them on certain pit stops. It's like getting a drink of water or anything else, but they're throwing in some ice bags for us.
So the final stop, you come in, and there's two. It looked like you came in too quick, and the orange wheels.
Yeah, well, we came in awful quick, but we wanted to make up as much time as we can and not lose any time getting in the pits. You got to do it getting in and getting out of the pits. And those orange wheels, we borrowed those from another team, and they end up being the set that won us the race.
Thanks very much for your time. Good luck.
My pleasure. Thank you.
A real nice guy and definitely a deserving champion, Jeff Gordon. And congratulations to DuPont Canada for 40 years here in Canada. Well, last week we'll recap the Milwaukee action, and of course Greg Moore. What a wild ride, and he ended up with a 5th place finish. David Embringham, another podium finish. This time it's 3rd place. As far as Lee Bentham's concerned, well, he ended up 3rd. Anthony Lazaro won the race and Case Montgomery finished second. In the Formula Atlantic points, it's still Patrick Carpacci out in front with 63. Case Montgomery moves into second with 56, and Lee's just 1 point back at 56. At the Mosport International Speedway, Ken Donaldson did it again. The number 3 won the Thunder Car division. Looking at the street stocks, it was Derek Henderson in the number 71, and Jeff Hanley took honors in the late model sportsmen's. Congratulations to all of those drivers. As well, the Yokohama Formula 1200 Championship was there, and their celebrity driver won the race. Congratulations to Paul Delchin, still looking for a Atlantic ride. Hopefully, he'll have it for Toronto. That's it for this week's edition of Pit Stop, and remember, we do have a response line, so if there's anything you'd like to leave us, any questions or comments, please give us a call. It's 905-436-3500. Until next week, have yourself a great, safe week, and we'll see you back here on the Fastest Half Hour on Rogers Community 10.
Thank you.